Mr. Crow, we would like to, on behalf of the Smiths, we'd like to say congratulations for all of your accomplishments. Nobody deserves this more than you. It's a great honor to be here to celebrate with you. We wish you all the best and even more award ceremonies in the future.
Yeah, congrats again. We love you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Crow. All the best. You really deserve this honor. I'm very proud of you and proud to be one of your students.
John, I've been a nightmare for you for several years now. I'm very proud of you. You've been a mentor, and as I always say, you're my video sensei, and I'm very proud of you, and much congratulations.
Hello, I just want to say congratulations to my favorite teacher ever, Mr. Crow, on his award. You're an inspiration not only to the Queens community, but to the Caribbean community and the global community. And you really deserve the award, and congratulations.
The first citation of honor that I'm actually giving as the BP, I think, is to John Crow Alexander. Can you please join us up here? And I am reading this. It's a lot of hubbub, huh? Mr. Alexander is being honored for his outstanding contributions to arts and culture in the Borough of Queens. I'm going to go this way so that I'm not having my back towards you. He is originally from Grenada. Really, Grenada? I'm having trouble reading this. And a graduate of York College. He is a respected journalist, videographer, news editor, a producer, and a host of Caribbean Classroom. A true Renaissance man. That's what it says. Teaches all aspects of video production at Queens Public Television at the Langston, in the Langston Hughes Community Library. He is known for his information. It looks like everybody knows you already. So, a multi-talented performer. I'm just going to say that with this, I present you with the Borough President's Citation of Honor, and I ask you to please say a few words.
If by any chance there's a possibility if I can get one of those jobs, that has just a, average salary, just, I'm interested. Okay.
No, I got it.
You got it. Good. The other thing I wanted to say to you is for next year, we want to have an extension on this building, a rooftop theater, so we can have at least a 500-seat theater. What do you think? Yeah. All right. I'm not lost on this being the first Caribbean person, first person from Grenada to receive this honor, and I do appreciate that. There are a lot of people to thank, and I would be remiss, and I get choked up every time I get to do this. My mother is here, and a few years ago, she decided to migrate to the United States, and she said to me, after she settled into Brooklyn, her one-bedroom apartment, she said, "You're in America now, and this is a place where you could make it, hi Yvonne, or break it." And Mommy, because of you, I'm standing here this evening. They say never give a television host a microphone, but the night is kind of long, the room is hot, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I thank you, Madam Borough President. I just have to say this, I did not endorse you in the first round. Leroy Comrie was my choice, and then he dropped out, so then I had no choice but to adopt.
It's a backhanded compliment.
No, it's not backhanded, it's not backhanded. It is what it is. Leroy was the first choice, but then he dropped out, so then I had to come with you.
You're not the only one.
I endorsed the guy in Brooklyn as well, you know, and so forth. But I know, tonight, I know why I'm married to the woman that I'm married to. She happens to be from Queens. So tonight is confirmation that I made the right choice by marrying to my wife, Deborah, which is somewhere in the far corner over there. And from one of the most neglected section of Queens, and I'm saying this in front of you, Madam Borough President, so that we can all understand where I'm coming from. I'm not lost on this opportunity, and I'm going to take the moment to say to you that we have to do better by Far Rockaway and the people of Far Rockaway and the things that we're doing in those parts of the borough where places like that look like Far Rockaway. I'd like to know who the landlord is in this building, because he gives real good heat, don't he? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Madam Borough President. Thank you, Andrew Jackson, my boss. Thank you, Leroy. I saw Sister Yvonne here, and my brother, Archie Spigner. Nice to see you. Thank you, everybody. All of you who are here, thank you so very much.
We welcome everyone to Queensborough Hall. This was a great event to celebrate African American culture, arts, and the history of folks that dedicated so much of their lives to the borough of Queens. I'm proud to be the sponsor here with so many other folks that came together to pay tribute. We look forward to doing this year after year. We also look forward to paying tribute throughout the entire year, not just in February. Thank you.
Better. And good evening and welcome to another exciting and informative episode of Caribbean Classroom. My name is John Crow, the host and the producer, and I have to thank Michael and a few other people, Anthony, and all of the voices and faces that you just saw who were present as I received this big honor from the Borough President of Queens, the first Grenadian, the first Caribbean person ever to receive a citation from the Borough President of Queens. Thank you so very much for Black History. I just thought I should replay it again tonight, you know, just to pump up my chest a little bit more. Thank you very much. Tonight's program, we have two people here who are very knowledgeable and quite informative. And I'm hoping, Michael, take it off the floor, please. I'm hoping that we could get into this conversation. I want us to get into this conversation about Carnival. So those of you who have an interest in Carnival in Brooklyn, in Carnival in New York City, in Carnival in Boston and those other places, I want you to call a friend and tune in, because tonight we're covering all the bases tonight, all the bases. Toronto, Mass, Atlanta, Mass, Boston, Mass. I understand even now we have a carnival in Houston, Texas. So Carnival is just spreading throughout the United States. But remember, it started right here in Harlem, USA. I know some of you don't even know that. But it started right here, and tonight we're going to cover all of those kind of bases. Before I get to them, let's talk about Gaza, and can we all get along? Can we all get along? I mean, by the time Israel finished bombing Gaza, they have nothing left. I mean, they're bombing everything. That's not right. Something is wrong with that picture. I don't know what. How about the police arresting the dude who videotaped them choking the guy to death in Staten Island? How convenient is it that he was able to be, the police are right there at that hotel, just as he's coming out, and supposedly stick this gun in his girlfriend's waist or the woman's waist or what have you. Something is smelling in there, and I know it's not a fish. I know it's not. I remember Doris Mann. I don't know how many of you remember Doris Mann. All right, a couple of years ago, the Haitian brethren who were tried to force to buy drugs, and when he refused, he ended up getting killed, and then the police, nothing. You remember Eleanor Bumpers? The dude who killed him, he got a gold shield. No, I don't have anything against the police, but I mean, there's some of the policemen in the business here, questionable at best. And Mr. Lynch, I know you had to say what you had to say, but let's not try to, sugarcoat the thing. It is what it is. We have bad apples, like in anything else, we have bad apples in every sphere of life. And tonight, anyhow, I don't want to go too heavy into those areas. I know Peter, my boy Peter is having a field day. Peter Noel, he's having a field day with all you. But anyway, so I'm going to leave it for Peter to take care of. Tonight we're going to talk Carnival, Mass. And every year, Labor Day comes the same time in September, first Monday of September every year. And it's a spectacle in a good way. And you hear about spectacles too, right? It's a carnival. I mean, and they like to say parade, but it's not a parade. We those of us who are from the Caribbean, we don't like the terminology parade, because parade means order and we're marching in step, left, right, left. We ain't like that. We like carnival, lavway, bacchanal, fete. You enjoy yourself. That's the one time, the one day, at least in the Caribbean it's 2 days. Here is one day that where we let the hair down and we let everything hang out, if you know what I'm talking about. And so it's the one time that we have. But I had to say this word of caution. While we like to fete and we like to do all of the things that we do around Carnival, those of us from the Caribbean, the one thing I want to say to you, we're in a different country, in a different town, under some different rules. And so things are handled differently. So certain things that you're accustomed doing, like when you get high or you get drunk and you want to pee, you don't just pull on your panty anyway and just pee. You could do that at home, it's no big deal. Here is a different story. Man, you can't just take out your penis and just wherever you feel, just turn and take a lick. That ain't happening. You won't get arrested for that. You can't walk the street with open container and have liquor in it. The police don't like that. And we don't want any of you getting choked whole and end up dying because you decide to take a beer. Okay? So I just want to put all those kind of words of caution. Be mindful of the rules and regulation of the town. Now, the police, and I will get to that tonight, has a lot of control of this carnival. And they hold on to it like with an ironclad fist. I mean, they hold on to it tight. So if the police tell you can't go so, don't fight, don't argue, don't just turn around and go in the opposite direction where the police direct you to. Too many times I see young people who don't know better deciding on get into a confrontation unnecessarily with the police. You're not going to win. I don't care who you are. City Council member Jomani Williams learned that the hard way the last time. I mean, yes, he ran into some crazy police, but still in all, the police are in charge of this carnival, which I have a problem with, but we're going to talk about that down the road. So listen to what the police is telling you. They seal certain streets, they block off certain roadway that you're accustomed walking and so forth. For just a couple hours, you know, you have to kind of abide by the law for the time when the police tell you, well, you can't turn right here, so you have to go 2 blocks over or 3 blocks over or sometimes 5 blocks over so you could get home. We apologize for the inconvenience, but it is the way things are just for that one day. All right? Okay, so now, tonight, who do I have? I have with me the past president of WIADCA. WIADCA is, I had to remember this, West Indian American Day Carnival Association. Mr. Tom Bailey is here. Welcome.
Thank you, John.
Absolutely. And next to Tom is, this lady has been involved with Carnival since she was about, I would say, 10 years old, because I've been on the parkway when I was about, I don't remember how old. Jean Alexander is here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And these two people are quite knowledgeable about Carnival. Anything you want to know, anything that you want to find out about Carnival, anything whatsoever that is in your mind, you can join this conversation. There's a phone number, 718-460-9802, 718-460-9802. And you can call us and join in the chat as well. Ask them questions that I might not ask or things that you might be confused about and so on and so forth. And I know some of you like to watch and then call me afterwards with questions. Call them, they're here. All right, so WIADCA in the house, and Carnival is on the horizon. We're talking about, in a couple of weeks, we're talking about Carnival in Brooklyn. And it's another exciting year from the things that I've been reading and seeing. And about how many bands we're looking at this year?
At least 45 registered so far.
45 bands?
Yes.
Registered?
And this is the large bands.
The big size
Yes.
bands? We ain't talking about the T-shirt and the union band and this band and that. 45 big bands? Costume bands?
Yeah.
Wow. Is that a record?
Adult costume bands.
Okay, adult costume. No, is this a record? I mean, the 45? It sounds like
Not necessarily. It's sometimes we have large bands, and then again we have lots of smaller bands. I think that is the situation this year, with lots of smaller bands.
Okay. So what's the biggest number we ever had registered?
I think about between 5,000 to 6,000 in one band.
Players?
Yeah.
But about how many bands? I mean, in total, for about how many bands? The biggest registration you had? Approximately?
I'm sure in years gone by when the finances were plentiful,
Right.
people they were able to afford to have lots of costume bands. Nowadays, that is not so much the case.
Okay.
Yeah, everything is
But
expensive.
45 sounds like a big number to me, of the large band, the costume band.
Maybe it's around that number.
Pictures are
Yeah.
around that thing. Okay, we also have Kiddies Carnival. Yes,
But what you have to bear in mind is also, if there are 45 bands that register, there is no guarantee that 45 bands will appear on the Parkway on Labor Day.
Okay.
Somewhere between registration and Labor Day,
Things don't work
the
out.
inevitable happens, and one or two bands.
Fall on the wayside.
Right, right.
And what would cause that? What would cause them to not appear?
As Jean indicated, dollars and cents. Finance is one of the biggest.
So, okay, let's talk finance for a minute. To put a ban on the Parkway, and we're talking of a ban with costumes, with feathers, and we have some pictures. I have Dave Louison's Green's band. I have some of his sketches, and we could show some of them. To put out a ban, I would say a big size band with big costumes and lots of players, you say about 500 on average per band, right? And to have a band like this with sections, because that's them Greens United, to have sections, and you have 4, 5, 6, 7 sections, 8, 9, 10 sections.
That could be anywhere around 40 to 50,000 easily.
$50,000
Yes.
on average.
And don't be surprised, it goes up to $100,000, the larger bands, like the Sesame Flyers. Don't be surprised, the cost is prohibitive.
And it's prohibitive on that level because?
Well, everything is expensive. The materials.
For the costume?
For the costumes,
Right.
yes. The place to rent to have the mass band.
The mass camp?
The trucks.
The trucks.
A large band like that would need maybe 3 or 4 flatbed trucks. The big.
With the music?
Yeah. And then you rent the music equipment, the generators. You have to build out the truck. That is another.
For safety purposes,
Yeah.
right?
It costs a lot of money.
No. And that takes me into the area of the kind of money generated on the Parkway that is never discussed, that is not heard of. This kind of those kinds of music, transportation, food,
Lots of food.
drinks for your players. We are talking the costumes yet, right? All of this, what you call it, incendiary costs, is that a good word to use? Incidental costs?
Incidentals, yeah.
Right? Where you want to make sure your players are fed because you want to be on the Parkway early, right? And we're going to talk about this early thing down the road, right? You want to make sure that all the players are fed and that they're nourished and so forth. And so you have to put us.
That's a separate cost. That is not included in the band cost.
In band cost at all. And that's on the day itself.
That's right.
Because leading up to the day, okay, we're going to build a costume, I need fabric.
Right.
Next.
You need wires.
Wire.
You need, for the frame. Tubing. Sequins.
The costume maker.
The costume
wire
designer.
Bender, the wire
Yes,
bender.
The wire bender.
That's the man.
Or woman.
Or woman, sorry.
Thank you very much. Because I know some women that, and just the artistry of
The artistry, yes.
which don't get discussed. People come on the jump and the wine and the wave and thing, but then nobody thinking of how much sleepless nights, broken homes.
Lots of sleepless
Husband
nights.
leaving wife leaving husband.
Way of life.
Because they any mass scam. Gin, you laughing, but this is the thing.
It is true. Yes. I know. It is true.
That the amount of families
that disintegrate after Carnival.
Right. or just before Labor Day, because every night, so it's up a scam. Every night you go in there,
And coming home 4 o'clock in the morning.
or if you're coming home at all. 2 days you ain't coming home. And talk about this passion. That's a passion. Talk to me about the passion of the mass player.
It is a dedication that, and I can talk about Trinidadians because we're from Trinidad. And I'm sure it would be the same case in Grenada, St. Vincent, most of the islands that have carnival traditionally.
Right.
But in Trinidad especially, even I used to make costumes when I was a little girl. When I was like 7 years old, I used to make old masks.
Really?
Take dirt, yes, and make a face on the ground and put newspaper and let it dry, and then after it dries, you paint it and you make a chana pack, that's the nose.
Yes.
And
yes. Go ahead, Jim. Tell us about your mask. Tell us about your mask skills.
And the horns with the paint it and you put it on a child's face and scary like hell.
What are we doing? What is WIADCA doing in terms of preserving that artistry?
We have costume making classes every year for the past probably about four or 5 years. Every year we have children's costume making classes.
Where?
In our office.
Okay.
2 years ago it was
Tell
at
us
the
the
Brooklyn
location.
Children's Museum. The office is at 323 Rogers Avenue between Sullivan and Montgomery in Brooklyn. It's not going on right now, it just finished because the office is very busy right now.
Right now is registration.
Registration of vendors.
Okay. And so go ahead. So you're having these classes?
Yes, and the kids graduate and they have a little mini carnival on the graduation day, which was on June 21st. Make Music New York in the park.
Okay.
Every year we'll continue doing that, and it's going to be branched out into different locations. Not only in Brooklyn, it could be in Queens or in the Bronx, depending on where we get a suitable facility.
And willing to accommodate you.
That's right.
All right.
What we actually do with that too, John, is the kids that graduate from that class, they become members of a band for Labor Day.
Okay. And they're playing with their costume that they made?
Yes.
All right, all right.
For the Junior Carnival.
In the Kiddies
Sunday.
Carnival?
Yeah.
Well, our custom with Kiddies Carnival always say Junior Carnival.
Yeah,
It's the same.
Kiddies
It's Kiddies
Carnival.
Carnival.
Right.
Right? Okay. Don't mind me. I mean, I like a traditional, old-fashioned, and I like to stick with what I know. So, Kiddies Carnival, this Junior Carnival business, I'm like, well, who is Junior? I don't know Junior.
Oh, okay. All right. Kiddies.
Kiddies Carnival. No, talk about Kiddies Carnival. Well, no, before we go to Kiddies Carnival, and please don't let me, hold this thing down. But let's talk about the time and the mass on the Parkway. Everybody wants to show up at 3 o'clock to start to play mass because they want the sunset, the slant of the sun reflecting on the costume, etc., and they don't want to come out there because it's too hot. Talk to them about this time thing and how it's working against them.
Well, over the years, for the last 4 or 5 years, what has happened, they have suffered as a result of that attitude, and they're beginning to come to their senses. Because what has happened, we close off at 6 o'clock at the museum, and any band that has not reached that point, Washington Avenue or Franklin Avenue, they are turned off and they don't get the opportunity to be judged. So they can hum and haw as much as they want. They're supposed to be there, the police are there, the officers to do the inspection and stuff. They are there 8 o'clock in the morning. After the breakfast, we move up and you cut the ribbon and you move.
I never get invited to the breakfast, but anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
So they have become, they realize what's happening, and in order to be judged, they have to pass the reviewing stand.
Reviewing stand.
Yeah.
And the review stand is at Washington?
Eastern Parkway in front of the Brooklyn Museum.
Which is quite historic.
Yeah, quite across from the Brooklyn
Quite
Museum.
historic.
Yeah.
And I would not go on with this interview, or cannot go on with this interview without invoking the name, the man who is behind this Eastern Parkway Carnival, because Carnival is not just Eastern Parkway. A lot of people don't know the back history or the history of it. But Carlos Lezama has to be recognized anytime we're talking about Carnival.
Yes.
And I mean, I would say that he's been missed from the Carnival in Brooklyn.
Tremendously.
We miss him too. We miss his style.
He got things done.
Magically,
He got it done.
he got it done.
He got it done.
He got it done. And I do admire Carlos. I do admire Carlos.
You know.
Anyhow, no, I mean, I get emotional a little bit when I talk about him because
You know the man.
I literally sat at his foot, and learned from him about Carnival. Him and the woman that was the female band leader, what's her name again?
Daphne Weeks.
Daphne Weeks. They're the two people that really teach me about Brooklyn Carnival, about Carnival in New York City. And I get a little bit emotional. Anyhow, in the meantime, but with timing, starting on time.
Yeah.
Okay, why is the police so prominent in the Carnival? Why is the police so, I'm saying so in charge of the Carnival? From where my observation.
It has been that way for some time, okay? But we have realized that the police themselves have told us, because we have approached them, this is your thing. You got to control it. It's your thing.
That's my point.
I am here to support you.
Right. That's the question. That's my question.
And this is what has been happening because we have a series of meetings with the police department, Brooklyn South Police Department, weeks prior to the festival.
Right.
And this is the trend. They are there to assist us.
But not to run the Carnival.
Right. What we do, we have this year of all, we'll be having a number of volunteers who would be helping or, doing a lot of things that the police will normally, they will be just standing back.
Waiting for your call.
Right.
Which is what I know, again, from Carlos to be. Who are you getting your volunteers from? Where are you getting your volunteers from?
We have.
Go ahead.
We could use a lot more. We could use a lot more volunteers.
New York Cares. Make contact with New York Cares. They are always looking. They're known for collecting coats.
Yeah, I know
around
that.
the winter, around for people, but they do a lot more than that. They coordinate volunteers through any program that you might have anywhere that you have in the city here. So that's a source, a good source,
very good,
to pull some volunteers from or to get volunteers from. And if any one of you watching and you are interested in volunteering to work Eastern Parkway's Carnival, which is a beautiful, you're getting a front row seat. No, you might not like the assignment you get, but you're volunteering in one of the most historic events in the world on Labor Day. Give them the phone number and the address.
Before we do that, John,
okay, go ahead.
What I would want to do is, talking about volunteers, come Saturday, this Saturday the 9th,
okay,
we are having a meeting of all volunteers that are registered with us, plus those who are interested in becoming volunteers.
This Saturday?
This Saturday at Medgar Evers College.
So tell this camera, look at this camera right here and tell this camera.
At 5 o'clock on...
Start over from the top.
Medgar Evers College, if you're interested in being a volunteer, even though you have not registered with us as yet, come by Medgar Evers College, 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon. We talk to you.
Saturday.